this on? All right. All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started. If we could all take a seat. We have lots of tables up here in the front that are empty. Please help yourself. We got a full house today, so wherever you find an open seat, please grab one. We'll get started. Thank you.
Everyone. We have a lot to cover this morning, so why don't we go ahead and get started. First of all, I would like to thank Nick Gonering for entertaining us this morning. Let's give it up for Nick. I will be your MC today, and I would just like to start by thanking everyone very much for being here this morning, either in person or virtually. My name is Gail McNutt. I am the president of On Broadway, and I have to tell you it is truly an honor and a pleasure to be associated with On Broadway. First of all, the amazing staff. Of course, you'll be hearing from Brian shortly, but in addition, there's Brooke, Allie, Denise, Quincy, Chelsea, and Casey. Ladies, could you stand up? Thank you all very much for everything you've done to get us here. Also, as president of the board, obviously I get to work with the board, and I have to say it really is a remarkable board where each and every member of our board plays a very important and very unique role in helping shine the light on the Broadway District. Board members, if you're here, could you stand up, please? And I'd like to just thank the board. Come on, I know there's people here. There we go. Thank you. And then finally, of course, to be able to work with all of the wonderful businesses on Broadway. What a really cool, unique opportunity we have here with all of these wonderful places. And I just, again, would like to welcome you, whether you're a volunteer, if you work here, you live here, you shop here. It's a great place, and I want to thank you all for being here this morning. So with that, I would like to thank our presenting sponsor, American National Bank. Other sponsors include Whipfley, Copper State Brewing Company, Board and Brush, Harmonic Productions, Pedal Pusher, and Gather. Another amazing breakfast here this morning. Thank you all to our sponsors. And I'd also like to do a quick shout out to our very talented Gregory Frederick, who is doing live painting for us this morning during this event, and his piece will encompass the Broadway District. All right, with that, let's get started. I'd like to introduce Paul Northway. Paul is the president and CEO of American National Bank Fox Cities. American National is a local community bank with locations in Green Bay and Appleton, and their purpose is to help business owners beat the odds through pure ingenuity. Welcome.
Thank you, Gail. Good morning, everybody. What a crowd. Nice. Yes, as she said, Paul Northway, American National Bank. We were founded in 1993 by a bunch of business owners who wanted to make sure there was a bank in the marketplace that was hyper-focused on small business. 29 years later, we are still committed to that purpose. And I think when you stay in your lane, you can get really good at things. And that's what we've tried to focus on. This is interesting. A couple of things. One, very honored to be part of this. This is our third or fourth year, so thank you for including us and giving us the opportunity to help champion the Broadway District. What's interesting is anybody over, let's say, 50 years old who grew up in Green Bay has seen so many versions of Broadway. Now, when I was younger, I don't think my parents even let me come down this way, right? So I will say this, by far, right, the best version we have seen with the most promise and potential. So everyone who's involved with On Broadway and the redevelopment of this area, give yourselves a hand. This is a really cool place with a lot of upside. The other thing about being over 50 is you always have to have a pair of glasses with you as well. So here we go. So we're this bank that's focused on small business, and small-scale business is fascinating because of the impact they can have on the local economy. Small business packs a punch. We know that across the country, including here in our region, small business creates a lot of the job growth in our marketplace. Small business is a fuel for economic growth. When those small businesses are located in a downtown, they contribute to the vibrancy, authenticity, and economic synergy that can make the downtowns an economic powerhouse. Really, if you think about it, downtowns really do hold a key to a prosperous future. Downtowns are a wonderful thing. There's so much history, but yet there's so much promise to the future when you think about our downtowns. They really are who we are as a community. They really, truly represent the quality of the city. I'll leave you with some thoughts. When we think about the Broadway District and the impact that the district can have on redevelopment, prosperity, future growth, that economic powerhouse that we speak to, I think we just stay focused on some things, creating great places for people to gather and to grow. I think we're seeing great evidence of that. I think that a downtown should provide a quality of life, and that comes through a lot of diversity and a lot of mixed use. Again, we're seeing evidence of that. Addressing affordable housing, without a doubt, is something that all downtowns need to focus on. We need to have some synergy between small business and people living downtown, all people living downtown. Working with developers that can not only start a project but finish a project. As a banker, I'm going to give those words of wisdom. We need developers that can finish our projects. And then finally, shop local, eat local, buy local. I'll even throw a plug to the industry, bank local. So much upside, so much promise. What a cool place. The fact that we hold this event every year and this many people turn out, and I think, Brian, we have a lot virtually as well. It says a lot about our district, it says a lot about where we're headed. Again, thank you for allowing us to be a part of it. Have an awesome day.
Thank you, Paul. And just to FYI, when you're over 60, you have cataract surgery, and then you don't need your glasses for a little while. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, and now it's my honor to introduce Mayor Eric Genrich. Eric was elected the 42nd mayor of Green Bay in April of 2019. Prior to becoming mayor, he was elected to the state assembly. He served 3 terms in the assembly, representing the 90th Assembly District, which encompasses the majority of Green Bay. He's been actively supportive of several community organizations, including NeighborWorks Green Bay, on whose board he has served for 6 years. Mayor Genrich was born and raised in Green Bay, and he and his wife Emily live on the east side of Green Bay with their 2 children, Henry and Amelia. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much for the introduction, Gail. More importantly, though, thanks for your service as president of On Broadway. Thanks to Barb and the entirety of the board for everything that you do for this district. As Paul said, we wouldn't be here without the small businesses that make up this district, downtown Green Bay. So incredible thanks to everything that you've done to revitalize this corner of our community. I'm so excited about where we're headed with On Broadway, with downtown Green Bay, with the community as a whole. But we wouldn't be heading in that direction without that fantastic roster of small businesses that we have here. So thanks to you. Thanks also to everybody who's attended today in person and virtually. There is a ton of energy in this room, and I'm sure we can feel it online as well. We've had a few false starts throughout COVID, a little bit of a Groundhog's Day feeling from last year's event down here with the state of the district, but I think we really are poised to come out strong of the pandemic And it's going to be so key for downtown Green Bay and on Broadway to provide the events that they've been known for in the past. They're always thinking about new ways of bringing people downtown. This past season with the murals and Buskers Festival, the tried and true events like 4th of July were a huge success in spite of the pandemic last year, and I think they're going to even be bigger and better this time around. So really looking forward to a fantastic season in downtown Green Bay as we move into the spring and summer. So thanks to all of our bids who are here and represented today, but thanks in particular, of course, to On Broadway and their events team and everyone who's going to make the spring and summer and fall fantastic in downtown Green Bay. The other thing that I just wanted to touch on a little bit from my perspective, we've always had a really close collaborative relationship between On Broadway and our community economic development team and our entire team at City Hall. But I feel like we're really kind of moving into a new phase of collaboration. I'm sure Brian's going to touch on this in more detail, but just wanted to note the partnership that we are developing with respect to our master planning at Liked Park. For those of you that don't know, it's just on the north side of Dousman, one of our larger parks, kind of a great event space for large-scale events in downtown Green Bay. But right now, there are some improvements ongoing to accommodate cruise ships that will be hopefully visiting us this summer. In addition to that, this master planning process that we're engaged in with On Broadway hopefully will really revitalize that park and make it more of a regular destination and place where people will go to hang out and enjoy the natural resources, the Fox River that we have right on our doorstep there. So looking forward to a lot of great things to come out of that process that's ongoing sort of as we speak. In addition to that, I know everybody in this room is buzzing about the news with regard to the public market. The same feel exists within City Hall. We're really excited for what will be to come with that project. Just recently, meeting with General Capital, who is interested in developing the parking lot just adjacent or right behind the public market. So we stand prepared to do whatever it takes within reason to make that project possible, collaborating with Brian and his team. Really excited about what that will mean for our community and for downtown Green Bay. And then finally, looking forward to some dirt being turned over at the Shipyard within the next few months. Matt Buchanan on our team especially has been really engaged in making that possible. So we should see some activity there very shortly, some public improvements being made with respect to a promenade right along the river there, as well as a floating dock and some kayak slips. And then later on in the late summer and fall, Merge Urban Development should be breaking ground on those apartment units that are slated to be constructed there. So there's a lot of things to be excited about, not just here in the Broadway District, but across the community, and very excited to be here to celebrate with you all. Very confident in the future of the district and in our city. So glad to be able to be here to enjoy the presentation. Have a great day, and thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mayor Genrich. And now it is my distinct pleasure to be able to introduce Brian Johnson. Brian has been the executive director for On Broadway since May of 2016. He has continuously shown dedication to the district and the people who live, work, and play here. He also serves as an alderman for the city of Green Bay. His influence in the community and extensive experience has pushed forward several development projects in our district, including, as mentioned, the public market, Shipyard, Railyard Pavilion, at Liked Park, Memorial Park, and more. The on-Broadway budget, I like to say it that way, on-Broadway revenue, let's put it that way, is 5 times more than when Brian started with the organization. There's just been a lot of great things going on here. He's worked with hundreds of business owners and vendors to help them succeed through mentorship on how to secure financing, work through permitting, and apply for grants. The district has seen 6 new groundbreakings under Brian's leadership after a decade of no activity, and he is obviously a dedicated and honest public servant. And with that, Brian?
Thank you. All right, thank you, Gail.
Welcome, everybody. This is really an exciting time for us to see this many people here in the room today. This is another record-setting attendance between in-person, which was sold out today, and virtual. We are at 350 people. So either that's a lot of people who are cynical about what we're doing or interested in what we're doing, but either way, it's wonderful to see interest. So thank you, everybody, for being here. So you've heard by the way, real quick shout out to Chef Jill in Gather. Wasn't breakfast amazing? So, yes. Now taking reservations for your corporate events. All right. There we go. Okay, so you guys are familiar with Kentucky Derby, right? Fastest 2 minutes in sports. This is going to be a little more than 2 minutes, but it is going to be fast, so buckle up. There's a lot to cover. So, we think it's always important to start with our mission. And what does On Broadway do? On Broadway promotes the Broadway District as Green Bay's cultural core for entrepreneurs, creatives, residents, and visitors to engage in a successful and welcoming environment. We also have our vision, which is as an organization to be the best that does what they do. But then we also have this district vision, which you see at the bottom. And this is important because On Broadway is an organization. But the district is a collective of businesses, partners, volunteers, property owners, city officials that all engage in the work that we do. And on that front, just a quick shout out to Neil, Matt, and Wendy who are here that work with our city's Community and Economic Development Department and do such a wonderful job with helping us curate what that vision looks like. Okay, so real quickly, this was actually created before I started, core values of who we are as a district. And we actually start every board meeting with these core values by sharing examples of things that our board members and our business owners have experienced. It really talks about why we do what we do and what we do, but most importantly, our core values, safety. It needs to be safe here in the district. Courtesy, we treat everybody with respect. Communicate often, which is really critical in any organization, as I'm sure you know. We need to have strong execution of everything that we do. And last, plus the district. It's not enough for us as an organization to be the only ones that do things. We need to take it up a notch in everything that we do. So these are our core values that we adhere to as an organization. So I go through this slide every year just to give a quick snapshot of what does On Broadway mean? What does that mean in sort of this large scope of what we do. So On Broadway is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, but we also intersect with these other three organizations. We are a designated Wisconsin Main Street program, and that is operated through Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, the state of Wisconsin. These are dots that show where all the Main Street programs are located throughout the state. Closest one to us is in the city of De Pere, but nearby to River, Sturgeon Bay, just to give you an idea of other communities. We are also a business improvement district. What that means is that property owners agree to be assessed a certain amount, and then that funding is reinvested back into the district, and that's how we're able to achieve some of the things that we do. And then last, we are an accredited program through the National Framework of Main Street America. So this is just a visual of what we look like as a district. On Broadway, purple on the left side, and then of course Jeff Merkis, the Executive Director of Downtown Green Bay and Old Main Street. Thank you for being here as well, Jeff, and your continued partnership on so many things that we do. But the gray on the east side would be reflective of downtown Green Bay, and then the brownish looking color in the upper right-hand corner there is the Old Main District. Okay, so we follow what's called a four-point approach. Everything that we do kind of fits within one of these buckets, and we're going to go through each of these, but organization means that you have a strong board of directors, your staff is trained and going through leadership development opportunities, volunteer capacity. Promotion talks about events and talks about marketing and how do you bring foot traffic down to your district. Design, not graphic design, but urban design. How do you have a good streetscape presence? And you think about things like parking and even building facades and codes. And then economic vitality, which of course business recruitment, retention, recruiting, additional development, and residential, which we're going to talk about. So organization, real quickly, I just want to give a shout out. Allie Tutt, this was a photo of our staff. Allie was recognized as a Future 15 recipient this year. She does amazing work for our district. Congratulations, Allie, on that recognition. So this is our staff. As we announced at our public market press conference, welcome back to Chelsea Koken, who has returned to the On Broadway organization, and she is taking on a new role as a director of special projects, which is going to help us get some of these bigger initiatives off the ground. And then, of course, Brooke, our marketing director, Casey, our special events manager, Denise, our office manager, who is the longest tenured employee with our organization, and who's phasing into retirement. We're very sad to hear that, but also very happy for that next chapter of her life. And then Quincy, who is our program manager. So one of the things that we oftentimes talk about is the importance of volunteer engagement to our organization. Quincy is going to highlight that on a little bit, so I'm not going to take her thunder on that. But also having a really strong board of directors that can help shape the vision of our organization. And we're very proud of the progress that we've made in that arena with having a really well-reflected board of directors. And what I mean by that is we have folks who are small business owners. We have people who represent different industry sectors that bring different skill sets to the table, whether it's knowledge about finance or human resources. You're really fundamental, foundational things that you need out of a board. That's something that we've worked really hard to achieve. We couldn't be more proud of the folks that we have sitting at the table. I just want to give a quick shout out. One of the things that we do as an organization, as I talked about, is leadership development. So we did a couple of study trips this past year. The first, we do this every year with the Greater Green Bay Chamber has a downtown task force. And we took that study trip to Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is what you see in the top two right photos. And then on the bottom, we just recently took a trip. Our team with the Downtown Green Bay Incorporated team, a couple of folks from the city, as well as Danielle from ISG, who's helping us with the project. That's a photo of our staff down there. But we went to Grand Rapids, Michigan. Let me tell you, there's a lot of things that you can learn when you just take the opportunity to step outside of your comfort zone and see what other communities are doing. And it's really remarkable what that city's been able to accomplish. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is design. Design is, like I said, really focuses on streetscape enhancements. We talk about things like pole banners, which, by the way, you're going to see new pole banners go up here probably in the next 2 weeks or so. That's just the bottom right-hand corner is a little sampling of what those are going to look like. Those got kind of put on hold during the pandemic due to funding constraints, and we're happy to have that back. We talk about things like benches and garbage cans, which we're also going to put through a makeover this year. It's been a while since those have been maintained and painted, and so we're going to do that during this year's Mural and Busker Festival. We're going to continue to keep the same style. We're going to bring in local artists to help us with that. And then parklets. So if there are any businesses out there that are interested in a parklet, we worked with the city to pass an ordinance on this past year. The city did allocate some funding out of TID 5 to be able to provide some mini grants around that. And so we have a really good path forward to allow parklets to extend into a parking stall or two out in the street and create some outdoor usage opportunities, dining, things of that nature. And then, of course, the importance of lighting. We wrap our trees. Lighting isn't, it's really important to talk about it from an aesthetic perspective, but it also helps elevate the safety of your district when people are able to see and feel secure. We talk about first impressions a lot, and this is Casey here in the upper right-hand corner, and this is a program that Quincy from our staff actually leads, but it's the weed management, trash pickup. We coordinate some large spring and fall cleanups, the plantings that go into the district every year, and it really takes an army of volunteers. In this case, in the bottom right-hand corner, they're a very small army, but these kids are wonderful every year. We work with them over at Encompass, who is in our district, and they just have such a great time planting those flowers out front every year. Public art is a really important thing to what we do, and we've seen it time and time again in communities across the country where public art is one of those leaders in the revitalization of a downtown corridor. And so we've really invested heavily in public art initiatives. Murals obviously is a big piece of what we do. I think we added about 15 murals this past year, both through our Mural and Busker Festival as well as through other folks that had put some murals up. We talk about things like sculptures, the dragonfly that was put down by the old shipyard or by the incoming shipyard site. Chalk art and amenities like the piano and the other sculpture there that Ken Hutchinson did. So it's really, really important because it gives people something to see and engage with as they walk through your community. And so we're going to continue to double down on this. And I know the city's got some initiatives as well that they're going to implement this year. And so be on the lookout for some of those things. So no design conversation can be complete without talking about parking management. So I want to see an honest show of hands here today. How many people thought it was hard to find parking today? Come on, hands up. Let's see it. Walked. Okay. So of those that have your hands up, how many of you still found your way here today? All of you, right? So this is a really critical discussion because, and I'm going to have you say this with me. Parking is a solvable problem. Say it with me. Parking is a solvable problem. Now, it doesn't mean that you ignore the problem. And so we recognize that parking is oftentimes an impediment, not because there's a lack of parking in the Broadway District, because it's a perception problem. I guarantee you that anytime you go to the mall or anytime you go to a big box retail store, you will walk further to get into that store than you ever will in the Broadway District. Count your steps. I've done it. You will walk further. So it is a perception problem. Every time we bring a consultant into this community, we have the same conversation. And those consultants who study downtowns all across the country say, what do you guys do with all of this parking? I kid you not. And if you want me to prove it, think about a time downtown where 10 to 15,000 people come downtown and find a place to park. We have the pilot program. It happens every Wednesday night in the summers. When the farmers market is going on, 10 to 15,000 people come down here every week and find a place to park. So it's a perception problem. You have to give people a reason to come downtown, and they will come. This picture right here, I want to show this to you. This is the city of Houston in the 1970s. And I really want you to visualize this. Is this the type of downtown that you want to be a part of? Right? It's rhetorical, but the laughs, I think, clearly demonstrate to me what you think. This is what happens when you have minimum parking requirements. I'm proud to say that we worked with the city on this a couple of years ago, and downtown Green Bay no longer has minimum parking requirements. That used to be part of our ordinance, and what that meant was anytime a new structure came in, we dictated to that business how many parking lots or how many parking stalls had to come with that. And we eliminated that because let developers solve their own problems. We don't have to dictate that because when you dictate that, you create all of these surface lots that you currently see around the district. And so our long-term solution is really to actually build on those. Now, it doesn't mean you eliminate parking. What it means is you eliminate surface lots. So you talk about things like structured parking, managed parking. Our goal is to create a dense, walkable environment here in the city of Green Bay. And how do you do that, right? You create an interesting walk for people. They want to see interesting things like public art, banners, right? If you think about like banners, canopies that hang over, number one contributing factor to what makes a walkable retail district and where people will spend the most money, if they can reach up in the air and touch a canopy. Isn't that interesting? Yet studies prove it. So, and then of course the cost versus benefit analysis. Structured parking is expensive. So if you want to afford structured parking, you have to have buildings, you have to have increment, new property tax revenue. The average cost right now in today's market to build a public ramp, $30,000 per stall. How do you pay for that, right? And more importantly, how do you manage it? If you go, again, to a big box retail store, you pay for parking. It's a perception. You just don't know it because it's embedded in the price of the products that you buy. But it costs money to manage parking. You have to pay for resurfacing. You have to, you obviously have to construct it. You have debt service on it. You have to maintain it, snow removal, all those things. So I'm spending a little bit of extra time on this today because I do think it's an important discussion. But more importantly, say it with me, parking is a solvable problem. All right. Cars don't shop, by the way. People do. That's what we want downtown. Okay. So here's an example, by the way, of what that means. What does parking as a solvable problem mean? This is a parking lot. This is a rendering that we did. We do a lot of visioning exercises in our organization. And so this is when you go down on the next block over, behind Glass Nickel Pizza, Creative Business Solutions 335. On the right-hand side there, you will see inefficient parking management, right? See all these lots that are back there? So we've had some preliminary conversations with all the property owners back there, and we said, hey, what if we created a scenario where somebody could acquire those lots and do this? This adds over 30 new parking stalls to your downtown. It cleans it up. It looks appropriate. You can probably add a dumpster corral here too. So that way, instead of all these individual businesses having their own dumpsters, now you have one location where all that can be managed. So these are the types of visioning exercises we like to do to solve problems. Okay, promotion. One of the things that we oftentimes do are what we call retail promotions. This is an area that Brooke, our marketing director, really leads. Things like Small Business Saturday, we did the 12 Days of Christmas, our Winter Wine and Beer Walks. This year, we did it a couple years ago, this Kentucky Derby theme type of wine walk, which of course is during the Kentucky Derby in the first weekend of May. But these are all intended to drive foot traffic to our retail corridor. And then, of course, destination marketing. So we work with a lot of folks, Discover Green Bay and their team, to bring in travel writers who write about us and tell the world about what's going on in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Discover Wisconsin, we did a really cool downtown segment with them this past year. Thanks again to Discover Green Bay for funding that. And then, of course, we work on earned media for our businesses. And how do we get our businesses in the spotlight in terms of what's going on out there? These are all things that are facilitated through our office. And while we don't have exclusive ownership over that, that is a role that Brooke can play. So if your business has a cool, unique, and distinct story to tell, please talk to Brooke, and she will work with our media partners to get that out. Return of events was a big deal for this year. Wasn't it great to see? Yeah. Now it didn't all happen quickly. Farmers Market obviously started. Fire Over the Fox was still kind of a modified format. In fact, we were originally only going to do fireworks, and then we were about 30 days out, and we're kind of like, maybe we can incorporate some things. And then, it just really took off. Ignite markets were back, 3 of them. 3 of the 4 came back: Fall Fest, Lighting Ceremony, Wine Walks. But when we get back to where we used to be, our events bring a total of 400,000 visitors to our district every year. So those are 400,000 people that come down here and experience what Broadway has to offer. Some of them go shopping while they're down here, some of them don't, but when they are down here, they experience what we have to offer so that they come back on their own time to see what we're doing. This is a brand new announcement for us this year, Taste on Broadway. Many of you are probably familiar with it. Taste on Broadway has struggled a little bit in past years because of the staffing shortages that we've seen in the restaurant industry. And so we're going to reboot it this year. And specifically, the vision that we've tried to capture here is, what if we can recruit food trucks from all over the region? Right, to give you some different experience with that. Foods from maybe Milwaukee or Chicago, Appleton, Oshkosh. And if you could visualize, right, the street lined with food trucks. And we're still going to create opportunities for our Broadway businesses that don't have a food truck that want to participate. And then bringing in craft beer providers from throughout the state. And so you're going to see a new vision of that this year, later this summer. But we're really excited about what the potential that has. I think for a long, long time, we kind of turned our back on food trucks, but we're starting to recognize that sort of street food flair is really good. And they do a really phenomenal job. And a lot of them graduate into brick and mortar stores. And I think of Bay Area Burger, who's about to open a space here in the Broadway District. This one here, I just want to give a quick shout out to Tarl Knight, Mark Mariucci, Kyle Lacombe of the Tarleton Theater, as well as Kelly Strickland, because promotion isn't just about what we do. Our businesses do a lot of great things too. And so the Widener Center has announced a new series that they're bringing downtown to the Tarleton Theater, and that's going to bring more foot traffic to the district, right? They're going to come and maybe get dinner before they go check out a show. They'll get drinks after the show. So this is a really exciting addition to start to see UWGB cement their presence here in the downtown community. Okay, Mural and Busker Festival this past year was the inaugural year. We have a 3-year agreement to do this event, and if it's successful, we'll extend it. But we had about 3,000 visitors to this event this year, 10 new murals that we put up as part of it, 25 buskers. But more importantly, and I really want to give kudos to Brooke on this, our earned media on this event had over 9 million impressions with about a $56,000 value. So what that means is we would have had to have spent $56,000 to get those same impressions through television or radio ads. So that is really remarkable for a first-year event. Okay. And this was just a great quote from one of our Asia had never done a mural before. So part of what we're trying to do is cultivate an artist community. And being able to give Asia an opportunity to create her first mural was a really big objective and something that is going to continue to be a part of what we do moving forward. So with that, we've got a little video here.
Giant works of art with a little street entertainment on the side, part of the very first Mural and Busker Festival in downtown Green Bay.
We're putting 10 new murals. Those are things that are going to be long-lasting, and they're going to continuously drive people to this district.
Come down anytime today. There will be artists out working on their murals all day long. And also from 11 until 3 today, we have our pop-up beer gardens where you can find live music, food trucks, beverages. On the streets, you'll find buskers showing off different forms of creative entertainment. We wanted people to make sure they had a wide variety of things that they could come and see, maybe something they've never really seen before.
It's a gift, I don't know how else to explain it. It's my mission to redefine what it means to have made it
We're now lots of people wandering the streets, lots of families. You know, you see these little kids just totally in awe of a guy up on stilts, you know, walking the streets with his like bubble backpack. So it's really a really fun event for all ages.
All right. Isn't that a cool event? Yeah, so we're really excited about the future of that event, and we're hoping that with some investment in that, we're going to really be able to hopefully just let that event explode on its own. Okay, so real quickly, on your tables, flip your program over. There's 3 questions on there. Right, you can write your name on there in a little bit, but I'm going to ask you the first of 3 questions on that. And remember, you can't get 100% on this unless you answer yes to the first question. Are you or your organization interested in learning more about sponsorship opportunities from On Broadway? Please select yes or no, and we're going to leave this on the table at the end of the day. And if your organization is interested in sponsoring one of the events that we've talked about here today, someone from our team will reach out to you. Okay, economic vitality. Residential is a really key component. It's the piece that has been missing in the Broadway District for a long time. Several years ago, our district made a commitment that we are going to recruit residential living opportunities because when people live in the district, they shop, they spend money at restaurants, they recreate there. So we made it a heavy emphasis and heavy focus. We set a goal of 200 units, which at the time we felt was really lofty. Right now, we have 900 units either recently constructed or under contract in some way, shape, or form. That is incredibly remarkable, and it shows the strength of what's happening down here. And I want to tip my cap to Neil and the others at Community and Economic Development for driving some of these big projects that you see listed here. And we're going to go over these in a little bit. And we talk about, like, in downtown communities, especially in larger cities, they oftentimes use 10,000 as sort of that tipping point. You know, that when you can get 10,000 people living in your downtown area, it just allows you to do things that other cities can't do, and we're driving home on that. The City of Green Bay recently did a comprehensive housing study that really identified thousands of units that are needed in our region over the next 10 years, thousands and thousands of units. And our goal, our objective is if we can just capture half of those in the downtown area, what a magnificent difference it would make down here. So Broadway Lofts, 107 units. This is now open and it leased up way faster than they anticipated. And so that is fully leased up, which is exciting to see. The Fort at the Railyard, you may have seen this one in the news a few times, but they had to take a shift on what they were doing. They did go through the Planning Commission and modified some of their zoning approvals, and that's the site that's sitting with the elevator shafts up. They are anticipated to come back to the Redevelopment Authority with a new proposal, but that would be 238 units if we can get that project moving forward. Merge Urban Development, the mayor talked about this project. This is down on the site of the Shipyard. This one would be market rate housing, 225 units on the riverfront. And all of these, by the way, including mixed use, which is really critical because you want to activate that first floor, whether it's a restaurant or retail, some other type of use. Impact 7, this is a model. And of course, you may look at that and think that's obvious, but I did have someone actually tell me that they thought this rendering was ugly. This is not really what it's going to look like. This is to help them understand, what type of height and dimension it will have, but this is the Badger sheet metal site. It is under a planning option. They continue, I just talked to the developer last week, and they continue to remain very interested in this site in moving this forward, but that would be 238 units, and also includes a greenway, which you see in the bottom left, the bottom slide there on the left-hand side. That's a greenway that would actually make its way over to Seymour Park and make connections over there. So really trying to incorporate that foot traffic into the residential neighborhood. General Capital, of course, this is the new development we announced at the public market. This would be behind Old Fort Square. It's planning option on that one, but most importantly, structured parking. We're not interested in losing the parking that's over there. This would give you just, because this is the newest one, there's a few slides here, but the green model that you see there, this is where that one would be situated, behind Old Fort Square, which right now is a parking lot. The way that we are working with the developer on this is to do underground parking for the residents and preserve the surface parking that exists there, but it would be covered now, right? So it's an upgrade. And this just gives, again, just basic, the types of units they're looking at, as well as the parking, as you can see, that would be preserved. 161 stalls, which is more than double of what exists there right now. Okay, so like Mayor alluded to this one before, we are currently, we have a memorandum of understanding with the city to do a master plan on Light Park. ISG, who is our partner on this one, they are currently going through the design phase and really taking a look from an engineering perspective what this would all look like. Most people don't realize this, but Light Park, you see where the project location is? Right, that is the piece that's owned by the city. The land that's just to the north of that, that's still privately held, but the city does a lease on that. And so as a result, our investment will focus only on the project location because it doesn't make sense to make long-term capital investments on land you don't own, of course. And so this is it's something relatively new, I think, with a public-private partnership with the city. We are going to submit a management agreement by July 1st as part of that agreement on the management of that facility. And this summer, we've met with the mayor's office to talk about some programming that we can execute there this year. And so we're going to do some things, some pop-up beer gardens. We're going to probably do some movies in the park. So just some really light programming to help people better reflect on how they can engage with that space. TID 5 improvements. So TID 5 is the downtown tax incremental district that is set for closure. And with that, there's about $5 million there that can be invested with respect to the original plan, which focuses in and around Light Park. And so as part of our agreement with the city, of course, there is the Light Park master plan, and there's there'll be a future announcement on that once we get a little bit further along in that process, which we're really excited to talk about. But what you will see is some permanent type of park facilities, dock walls, electrical lighting throughout the district, some streetscape, public art. But there's some really substantial investments that we're going to be making in downtown in partnership with the city. And one of those is talking about the shoring up of dock walls, as the mayor alluded to. If you look down there now, you'll already see they're under construction because we are slated as a location for cruise ships to start coming into Green Bay. I believe we have 2 stops this year, but you could see that expand, and we expect it to expand in the future. And these are folks that are going to come down here and spend money in our city. Okay, quick update on the Shipyard, because a lot of folks say, hey, what's going on there? So first thing is, a lot's been going on there. We've installed a lift station. We've raised some buildings. The lift station, by the way, to help remediate a lot of the long-term flooding that's occurred there. Environmental remediation, fill, right? Because we were 6 feet below the floodplain, so we had to bring in fill and get that up to speed. And I want to give a quick shout out to Matt Buchanan, who has successfully written and received 4 grants for $1.8 million to help leverage the investment that the city is putting into this. And so, good job, Matt. And we're very hopeful, fingers crossed, to get some announcements here in the near future as well, which if we get them, it'll be all over the news. Get ready. So this just gives you, obviously, Breakthrough. This is an older image, but Breakthrough is no longer there. That's where Merge is going to be, and then you can kind of get a visual of the site. Really kudos again to the city for the public engagement sessions that they did on this. The container park rendering that you would likely see down there. Now, it may not look exactly like this, and that doesn't matter. The idea is like, this is an idea, vision casting, right, of what it could look like. But more importantly, it's about creating something that's unique and distinct and connecting with the familiar Broadway district. When you talk about things like the urban beach, Creating something that's edgy and welcoming, trying to leverage the waterfront and giving people an opportunity to socialize against that water, programming that great lawn area for concerts, but also recognizing that life doesn't stop in a winter. We can do more winter programming. Okay, so this is broken up right now into 3 phases. Phase 1, we're about to embark on this year. Phase 2, and then of course, phase 3. So phase 1 is gonna be this year. So right now, the bids are about to be let out for the Riverfront Promenade, the floating docks, kayak launch, fishing pier, and wildlife. Phase 2 is gonna include like the urban beach, dog park, other amenities in that front, and then ultimately phase 3, which would be the container park. And so we're really excited to be making progress on this and recognizing big projects take time. It's okay, we just have to have a little bit of patience, but when this is complete, it is gonna be a magnificent place to be, and more importantly, it's the city turning its direction towards the waterfront again. And this is just a visual of what we've talked about in terms of development around that site. So we've worked with the EPA to create this modeling to really help outline what types of development we want to see, what's the appropriate scale to make sure that we're meeting all the obligations that we need to make, and most importantly, creating that walkable city that we talked about. All right, I want to give a quick shout out to Josh from the Railyard, Paul and Brent as well. Remember that little site over here, guys, in the Railyard that there was kind of a little bit of a controversy around a big box retail that would have created $15 million of investment in our city, and some said we need to do that, and others said no. Well, because we had the vision at that time to say 15 million doesn't give us the right vision. Instead, we want $100 million invested, and they're there, guys. We went from 15 million to 100 million because we were willing to have a little patience and let this project unfold. So kudos to those guys in terms of what they've done over there. So they put in $4 million of road work. Contrary to popular belief, the city isn't always the one that makes those investments. Now, there's some formulas behind the complexity of how that works, but they put in $4 million of road work. They've added parking stalls. Why? Say it with me. Because parking is a solvable problem. They've been one of the key drivers of business openings. In fact, over 60 new businesses have located over there in the Railyard. And I just want to give a quick shout out to the cannery space. If anybody out there is looking for a turnkey restaurant, it is a beautiful space. Please reach out to me or the team at the Railyard. It would be wonderful to see that space activated and operating again. But this is brand new and this is exciting. So they're in the process right now of letting out contracts. You may recall, by the way, those top 2 photos, that's what that used to look like, right? Top photo. Next one is what it looks like now. That's just another photo on the bottom to balance out my slide deck. Funny, I know. But that is the Railyard, and that's what it used to look like, right? But it's gorgeous now. But they are building R, which is the one that you're seeing in the middle. It is fully leased with the exception of the first floor, which is retail, and that's a whole different game. But it is fully leased, including their previous building where our office is that is also fully leased. And so they are actually in the process right now of bidding out the last remaining warehouse building there to have that basically white box, new windows put in. So we're really excited to see that going. If you are looking for office space in the Broadway District, you're gonna have about 80,000 square feet coming online. And I just want to give a quick shout out to LiveX. This is an example of the type of business that these guys are recruiting over there. LiveX is making a $2 million investment right here in downtown Green Bay when they could have been anywhere. Their headquarters is based out of New York City. This is the company that broadcasts the ball drop in New York Times Square, right? And they did the Democratic National Convention when they did all of that live streaming. So this is a really exciting company. The mayor recognized them as a small business of the year. And so we're really thrilled to have them here in the Broadway District as well as their $2 million investment. Okay, brand new project. This is the first time anyone's seeing this. So this is, it's exciting. Okay, now, one of the things we talk about is not everything happens at the same time, right? You always have to have projects in the pipeline. And as I said, we do this vision casting. So they're going to be pursuing a planning option with the city of Green Bay. We've been in talks with city folks. But this is the space that is owned by the Redevelopment Authority between Creative Business Solutions and the 335 building. And up on top is a rendering of what that could look like. This is a private local ownership group. And then where you see Sushi Lover, right? They're looking at doing a facade grant improvement there and creating a little bit of a gated scenario where we can create some outdoor dining and better leverage that outdoor space, creating more opportunities for folks in our community. So we're really excited about what this could mean in terms of closing up these gaps, right? Missing teeth in terms of creating that walkable district. But that first floor also creating more retail, microspace retail, ideally. That's something that we're talking about. So what a beautiful building in addition that this could be to the Broadway District. Okay, that's that. No, a lot of great work being done on this. And again, another one of those things where when I put this slide in here, I was hoping we were going to have good positive news. But that may come later this week or next, hopefully, knock on wood. But obviously, whatever happens on this site has a direct impact on what we're doing. And I obviously really appreciate the hard work that the county and the city have done on this to continue to move this initiative forward. So we're going to fly through this last part because we've already done a press conference on it, but I know a lot of folks in the room are curious about it. So this is Old Fort Square. No secret that we've talked about converting it to this. And so one of the things I want to be very careful of is nothing in development is a done deal. Nothing until the shovels are in the ground. But we are really, really close on this, and we're very excited about that. This is a project that we've been working on for many years, a couple of starts and stops. COVID put it on pause, but we've never been closer to having this materialize. And so really just when you talk about this project and the inspiration, we've visited over 24 public markets throughout the world. Some of the most famous, of course, being La Boqueria in Barcelona, Spain, Findlay Market in Cincinnati, Seattle, Pike Place, which many of you have seen, that attracts over 10 million visitors a year. And we feel that we can recreate this, not identical to what those big cities do, but something that is appropriately scaled for our community. And one thing that we've observed is Milwaukee is the closest reflection, in spite of the fact that we visit all these other ones. And it probably has a lot to do with those Midwestern values and just what people around here like. But the square footage on Old Fort Square is almost identical to the Milwaukee Public Market. And we, if you take, Milwaukee Public Market attracts 2 million visitors a year. Our projections, working with a number of consultants, have been around 1 million. But some folks have questioned that, and I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, if you're talking about 1 million or 700,000, does it really matter? That is great foot traffic to any district. And so when we talk about this, we're estimating about a $10 to $12 million construction. Grafe is our engineering firm that has really been working with us on this. We've done our mechanical engineering plumbing inspections. We're working on environmental, some streetscape enhancements that we're also working on. This is just kind of a sampling of the types of funding that we're pursuing to make all of this work. And really, it's about being catalytic in terms of its development, in terms of what it can do. So on Broadway, I skipped over that because this is a question that comes up. On Broadway would be the owner and the operator of this facility. And that's why the private sector has never done this. They've never had an operator. They can't meet the rates of return that are necessary with private investment. But we feel as a nonprofit organization, we can accept a lower market rate of return, and we would have dedicated staff that can program it. A couple of things that are important about this. Typically, in public markets across the country, you will see 20 times the impact leveraged over in terms of the public investment relative to private investment. We want to create all of these additional opportunities. Folks that come to public markets spend twice that of those who visit a mall. And these are people, by the way, when they come down here, we're extending their stay, they're going to visit other businesses all around here. We've seen that time and time again in other communities. It's really important to us that we connect to the neighborhood. Neighborhood inclusivity is really critical for a variety of reasons, but this is one of the lowest income census tracts in the city of Green Bay, and so as a result, we want to help, I guess, alleviate some of those pressures that make this a qualified food desert or designated food desert. We want culturally rich and diverse tenants that will be part of this, and we're having a number of conversations with those folks right now. Bottom line, food forward. This is not a retail strip mall. That's not what we're creating. This is about food, and it's part of it is prepared food, and part of it is retail-oriented products that you purchase for preparation at home. We talk a lot about the art versus science. It's about picking the right tenants and not just accepting any tenant that's willing to write the biggest rent check. And that's the beauty of when you're a nonprofit organization and being able to advance these things, is you can make those decisions. So this is the site, obviously. That's just a quick site plan. And I'll just run through a couple of these visuals. It's really about, trying to preserve some of that original authentic brick. And this is not an old building, by the way. This was built post-1980, so it's not a historic building. But there are some cool elements of it. You think of those pillars and other things. And we've actually had some conversations with the local artists about preserving some of that stuff and maybe creating unique sculpture that could be placed in the Broadway District. And trying to, again, preserve the historical intent behind some of that stuff. We have space in here. We are estimating for about 20 to 24 businesses. And while we have 4 that have committed, if we can convert half of those that have reached out to me since this announcement, we'll be full. It doesn't mean that we won't want to, we still want to talk to more people, but we are talking to a Peruvian place, an Indian place, we have a Mexican place that we're talking to. So we really are very optimistic about creating some really diverse food product offerings within this facility. And this just gives you a floor plan of what that first floor would look like. And then, of course, on the second floor, it's all about programming. How do you program that event space? How do you create a demo kitchen that can be activated and draw people in on a regular basis? We talked about our 4 tenants that have announced with us, Voyager's Bakehouse. Their location here in the Broadway District is not moving. This has been in Celeste, the owners. This is an entirely new concept, a brand new business that they're going to open in this space. They weren't ready yet to share what it's going to be, but they will. Soon. West Coast Seafood and Chowder, they've operated on the West Coast. They have been in the farmers market, some of our other events, and they're going to also handle our seafood, fresh seafood products that they will have within this facility. Gather on Broadway, where you are today. Gather, sorry, they've rebranded. Gather, just Gather. Tommy and Jill, Tommy's happy. Chef Jill, who you guys may know, she is phenomenal, but they also will have a new concept in this space, and while continuing to maintain this facility. And then One Barrel Brewing Company, who operates a couple of locations elsewhere. Peter and Jennifer here. Jennifer's actually from Green Bay, and so this made sense for their next location. They have a place in Egg Harbor and Madison, soon in Sturgeon Bay, so this will be their 4th location. What does their schedule look like? So we're in the process right now of closing on Old Ford Square. That will happen within the next 30 days. We're going to conduct a capital campaign and other grant writing, things of that nature, while simultaneously addressing tenant recruitment. So as I said, we are working on that. We brought Chelsea, as I mentioned, on board. Her job is to kind of corral all of these moving parts and get us to close. And then seeking entitlements through the city. In an ideal world, we'd love to begin construction this fall. Will it happen? It's hard to say, but I think we'll be pretty close with substantial completion by next year. Okay, yep. With that, I'm getting the shepherd's hook like 15 minutes ago. So, Gail. Oh, shoot, Gail, sorry. Oh, am I still on? Okay, sorry, folks. Your questions. I have 2 more questions. One is related to Quincy, and Quincy is, she'll gather these. She's our volunteer coordinator. She's going to talk about volunteerism. Are you interested in volunteering with On Broadway? Any form, any capacity. Check yes on question number 2. Yes. That a boy, Ken. And question number 3. If you want us to reach out to you about the public market, maybe you have a tenant idea, maybe you have a financing idea, capital campaign idea, whatever it is, select yes on number 3 if you'd like us to reach out to you about the public market. Thank you, Gail.
All right, thank you, Brian. Okay, we have some recognition we'd like to do this morning. First, I would like to recognize outgoing board member Mike Hall. I don't think Mike could be here this morning, but Mike previously owned a business in the Broadway District, Apex Accounting. He was on the board for 12 years. He's been the treasurer for 8. He was the interim director before Brian for 6 months and helped financially navigate the organization through transitional times, including during COVID, which, as we all know, was an interesting time. So I would just like to recognize Mike. And Bridget, I believe, is here this morning, Bridget Reardon. She was recently named the CEO of Enside Cellcom, so she has a pretty full plate. She also owns Glass Coffee House in downtown Green Bay. She will continue to serve on the Lake Park Master Planning Committee, thank you, and she lives and is financially invested in the district. She served on the board for 2 years, again, through a very transitional period following COVID. So Bridget, thank you very much, wherever you are. And then I'm very excited to announce our incoming president next year. Barb Lemieux is president-elect starting immediately, and she will be the president of the board starting January 1st, 2023 for a 2-year term. She's been on the board for 2 years. She is the president CEO of New North, an 18-county region in northeast Wisconsin, where she works with Main Street programs across the region. I think you can see why we thought Barb would be a great choice to lead our board. Just a little bit more about Barb. Prior to this role, she was the Vice President of Business and Community Development for the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. In addition to working with companies and communities on growth strategies and investments, she directed downtown and minority business development and has over 25 years of senior leadership experience in economic development. She's a certified economic developer, a designation granted by the International Economic Development Council that is the industry gold standard for excellence in the profession, where she also serves on the board of directors representing 5,000 members. She's also a commissioner with the Brown County Harbor Commission, board member of UW Green Bay's Institute for Women Leadership, and an advisory board member of, wrong page, sorry, African Heritage Incorporated. She's been appointed by governors of both parties to serve on various state commissions, and she also changes toilet paper rolls in the bathroom. Those of us who have run nonprofits understand that. So Barb, thank you very much for agreeing to serve. I think, obviously, as I've mentioned, it's been a fabulous opportunity for me. I still have another 10 months, and I'm excited to do that, and I think you're gonna, what's the opposite of you have big shoes to fill? I feel like I have to get bigger shoes for Barb. I don't know, something, but we're very happy that you're here. Thank you. And with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Quincy Fossbender for volunteer recognition.
You got it? Okay. Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, I want to express that volunteers are truly an integral part of our organization, from serving on committees and boards to volunteering at our trash pickups and our events. Volunteers touch virtually every aspect of what we do on Broadway. Over the course of 2021, we've had over 2,000 volunteer hours put into the organization, yes. Yes, it's amazing. So today, I am going to announce and recognize some of our most outstanding volunteers. But first, I want to thank Board and Brush and Vanessa for making and donating our awesome awards for us again for the second year in a row. Yes, so they're beautiful. So Casey and Brooke are going to be handing them out. Okay. So I'm going to start by announcing our 50-hour volunteers. And first, it is John Roque. John is one of the most selfless and generous workers I've ever met. If it were up to him, he would never stop working for On Broadway. We actually don't have enough work for him to do. So that is how much the Broadway District means for him. And Casey's gonna bring you your award, John. Next is Julie Charles. She is one of the sweetest ladies you'll ever meet, and that really shines through into her volunteering as well. She's always willing to help set up and take down whatever is needed. So, Julie, we really appreciate you as well. So those are our 50-hour volunteers. And now I'll move on to our 100-hour. Our first 100-hour volunteer, when I say your name, will you please stand to be recognized, is Bob Tutt. Bob has only been volunteering with On Broadway for a short time, but he's already made a big impact on our organization. He has helped with almost every event we've held this year, and he is known for helping out with the jobs that are a little harder to fill. So we really appreciate Bob. We love working with you. Okay, next is Jenny Lump. Jenny was actually the first volunteer I met when I started working with On Broadway, and she was introduced to me as the pro of the beer tent, and I can 100% say that is true now. She totally is. She's so knowledgeable about the organization and how we run things at the farmers market. It is amazing to work with her. Next, we have Ken and Francine Ravowski. These two are kind of a package deal, so I'm going to talk about them together. They, along with Bob, are our superstar setup crew for the farmers market, volunteering for every single one that they can make. It is just truly so great to work with them, and it's always a fun time. So thank you, guys. Next is Neil Olson. Neil has been one of our most valued volunteers for years with On Broadway. He is a fixture behind the beer tent and the farmers markets, and he's always willing to help out wherever. He actually volunteered the entire Mural and Busker Festival during the 2-day event, so that was really awesome. Thanks, Neil. Next, we have Michael Brohagen. He's another one of our core volunteer staff behind the beer tent at the farmers market. He is always willing to go above and beyond and chat with the customers and just enhance their experience when they're choosing a beer behind the tent. We love, 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 love Michael. Next is Kristen Hubble. She is one of our most dependable volunteers. She is always just a quick Facebook message away if I need her, and it's so, so appreciative. She is doing everything from volunteering at farmers markets, crossing guard duty, which is kind of a hard one to fill sometimes, Winterfest, and then winter wedding beer walks. Kristen can do it all, so thank you, Kristen. Next, we have Garrett Bader. He has been serving on the board for OBI for 7 years, so he's no stranger to working hard for the Broadway District, but this year he has really went above and beyond. Without him, the public market project really wouldn't have been possible, so we are really grateful for all of Garrett's work this year. Next, I'm going to announce the Volunteer of the Year Award. Sorry, actually, I'm going to do the group award first. And that goes to Nicollet National Bank. Yes. Nicollet has been a huge supporter of the farmers market, volunteering every other week to fill all of the slots behind the beer tent. In addition to that, they are always willing to pitch in and help at other events when they can. Their staff's enthusiasm for volunteering is so refreshing, and it's appreciated by On Broadway. I absolutely love working with them. So congratulations, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, now Volunteer of the Year, and also my last thing. And that goes to Ken and Francine Ravowski. Please stand up. Yeah, Ken and Fran have truly earned this award. I already spoke about them a bit, but I am not at a loss for words on things to say about these two. The pair were instrumental in helping us execute our fall and winter decor this season. They spent hours driving us back and forth to Oconto to get hay bales to decorate the district for fall. They were the ones that secured the trailer to transport the 20-foot Christmas tree that we lit in the core of the Broadway District. Would not have been able to put that on the Honda Accord. So we were really lucky that they were able to go and get that for us. even after the full day of driving back and forth, we also had to go to Akanto for the Christmas tree, so another trip. They were still smiling, and somehow they still want to volunteer with us after that. So they spent all day, and they still want to. So we're incredibly grateful for that. Thank you, Ken and Fran. And now Allie Tett, the Director of Special Events, will announce the conclusion of our event.
All right, thank you all for being here today. Last year, at the end of the State of the Broadway District, we did send out a survey. And one of the suggestions that we got from that was that you guys wanted to learn more about Broadway business owners. So while you arrived today and you ate breakfast, hopefully you were able to take a look at some of the highlights that we featured of Broadway businesses and how awesome they've been this past year. We would like to do a tribute at the end of the event today to also highlight how important all those businesses are and that they truly are the heart and soul of the district. Supporting the arts has always been a really important mission of On Broadway, which is why we have Gregory here today, who's crushing that mural as I look over at it. So please make sure to stop and see it today. And then we also have Nick Goddering, who is a very, very talented musician who is here today to do something a little special for us. I've had the pleasure to work with Nick this past year through several of our events, which one of those is the Candlelight Concert Series, and I'm gonna do a little plug because the next one is here at Gather on Thursday, March 10th, so come check it out. It's a super fun event. But I am in super awe of his talented songwriting skills and music playing skills as well. So I asked Nick to write a song specific to the Broadway District, and he agreed, which I was super reluctant about. So I am going to let Nick end this event with his song, which is in collaboration with photographs from Audrey Thomas Photography. Let's hear it.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for being here today. Huge thank you to the On Broadway team for putting this all together. I should probably start playing because we're timed out with this. Yeah. All right, I wrote this song for On Broadway here. And yeah, thank you guys. Head on down to the river's edge on the Broadway side of town. There's a beacon there, an apothecary, and the people gathering round. I may be walking through the snow, but the people keep me warm. It's a place that I come back to, where I know I'm always home. I've been down on Broadway. I've been down on Broadway. Fresh fruit from the farmer's market, and new grooves from a local artist. I can tell my community's thriving. No doubt innovative and inspiring me. We've been down on Broadway. We've been down on Broadway. We got a bread maker and a chocolatier, a tea expert and a wine lounge here, florist, barista, and active cyclist. Add ethnic food and fine dining to the list. Jewelry, brewery, saloons and spas, photography, vinyl, and good pizza. Beauticians and barbers, musicians and artists. If you want to know where the heart is, all I can say is I've been down on Broadway, hanging around on Broadway. I've been down on Broadway, going down. I've been down on Broadway. 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 I've been down down to the river's edge on the Broadway side of town. You just might find a few people there that you want to be around. I can tell by the way it's moving that you want to be down on Broadway. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, that was amazing. I'm still a little puddled up, actually. Thank you so much. That was awesome. And I would just like to once again shout out to our sponsors. Thank you, American National Bank. We very much appreciate you being here today. Thanks to Whipflea, Board and Brush, Copper State, Harmonic Productions, Pedal Pusher, and Gather. Thank you all very much for being here today. We appreciate it, and I can't wait to see what we're going to be talking about a year from now. We'll see you then. Thank you.